It's time to warm up the Jag. Let's take a look at this beautiful XJR. Let's get started.
Wow, I had an XJR.
Yeah, you had the generation before this one. This one's actually, I think, 02 or 3. They changed over to the next generation. Maybe it's 04. But you had a 2000, I think.
2001.
2001 XJR. It was actually owned by Magic Mike before you.
Wow, we found it from Hoovie.
Yep, it came from him. This one is an 04 with only 75,000 miles, all the way from Oklahoma. It is in very good shape, but it does need some work. We're going to take a look at some of the issues with it today, and we're going to oogle together over this beautiful Jag. Let's take a look around it. It's a beautiful face, isn't it, Mrs. Wizard?
I love Jags.
Probably your favorite front end on a car.
It is. It's just so beautiful.
It has the wire mesh grille, definitely denoting an XJR. And it has the leaping Jag right here, the little kitty.
I wish they didn't get rid of those.
Yeah, they don't look like Jags anymore. They look like Honda Accords. I really like the color on this one. It's, what is that, like gunmetal?
I would agree. This is a very nice gunmetal gray.
You can see it has the R badge on it, and it has R decals on the brake calipers. This side is very nice, very clean looking. One thing that's different from the generation you had, Mrs. Wizard, and this one is the thickness right here. The earlier generations were very sleek and thin all the way down, but these are more broad-shouldered, more slab-sided, I guess you could call it. Which I think I like this style a little bit more. It's actually more comfortable for me. And there we have the rear end. It looks like a typical Jag. It comes to a kind of a skinny rear end. It's not wide. And on this side is also very nice until we get to the other corner, and I'll show you. Nice paint, no dents, no rust. But the customer is aware the broken park light there. I sent a picture to him and he said yes, that was an unfortunate incident that he had, but we always denote damage to the vehicle when a car comes in, so there's no confusion on how or where it happened. So we all want to see the beautiful supercharged engine under the hood, but the question is, do Jags open backwards or forwards? Let's take a look. Gone are the days of the backwards opening hoods of the Jags that we all know. Being this is an 04 model, it opens like every other car. Here's our venerable 4.2 liter supercharged Jaguar engine, 390 horsepower, and right at 400 pound-feet of torque. This is a very powerful engine for just 4.2 liters. 0 to 60 in 4.7, and the quarter mile in the low 13s. For a four-door sedan that's kind of heavy, it's actually very fast. They're very fun to drive. The customer has done a lot of work themselves with ride height sensors, and I think they did some strut work, or someone did some strut work anyhow. The customer is stating he smells a coolant smell with the vehicle, and he's also concerned about some clunking in the front end. We'll take a look at that once we get it on the lift. But those engines sound so good when they're under load and you're getting on it. They have that supercharger whine. I love supercharger whine. It's the next best sound to an electric vehicle. I know a lot of you guys don't like those, but I sure like them. Let's take this cover off real quick, a beauty cover. We can see that it has liquid-cooled intercoolers on it. This is not an intercooler you see near your radiator that's an air intercooler. This one's liquid cooled. It uses actual coolant, has its own fluid, its own hoses, and its own kind of a radiator up front. The repairs that the customer wants on this car are going to be expensive, and part of that great expense is going to be in the interior. Mrs. Wizard will show you there's some issues with the headliner. Let's go take a look.
So as you can see down there, ladies and gents, it's kind of hard to see because the way the wheels are turned, but it does say it has 75,462 miles. So this is really a low mile car for the age it is. It has been a garage princess for sure. Look at that dash. In a beautiful and amazing shape. And look at the wood grain as we go across as well. No cracks in that varnish. It's in superb shape. As we scroll down, one update from what I used to have, my 01. I didn't have the big infotainment style right there. So they have updated a few items from the earlier model. We do have a dove gray with some nice bolster on the sides as well. Also have more leather on the door cards as well. And again, everything is looking good so far. We haven't seen anything amiss yet, but we'll get there, I promise. As we move to the back seat, you'll see that the gray leather of the back seat is in amazing shape as well. Looks like it's hardly ever been sat in, and that's probably the case unless you've got kids. But as we scroll up, there it is. That headliner is sagging. Looks like some of it is being held up just by the grippers on the side, the arm grips, or the where you hang your clothes, maybe the little attachment up here, but that's it. And then when we get, oh, I got a shower there. Then we move that back. Yeah, that has come off and has become a brown snow factory. It just rains that stuff down. So obviously that's going to take some cleanup work as well, but that's got to come down. And as we all know, doing headliners is never easy. The posts have to come off by the windshield, has to come off between the front and the back seat. Back there again, along the back windshield, more has to come off. Also, all of the handles, all the other little items, all have to come down to get to, even this has to come down to get to that headliner and get it down. So unless he wants to keep a reigning brown factory of dried up foam, he definitely wants to get that taken care of. As we end up at the steering wheel, you see, even though it's a little upside down, sorry, you're probably on a cellular device, so turn your phone over. You can see that kitty there's being upright. But right now, since the wheel's turned, ready to get on that lift, it is a little upside down. Here, let me see if I can, nope. The gimbal's not gonna let me flip the camera around. Sorry, guys. But nonetheless, let's get this up in the air, see what's going on underneath.
All right, let's take a look and see what we find under this beautiful XJR. We have a K&N oil filter. You can see pink right here. You see silver bolt, pink, and a little bit pink there. That tells me there's an antifreeze leak right up above. Magic Mike has already pressure tested it, and there are two coolant leaks. One is the water pump itself, and the other, we'll see if we can find it over here, is a threaded block plug. You can see it's all pink colored there. That is also the coolant leak. So there is two places. We will go ahead and reseal all those block plugs and also put a new water pump on it. First we'll get a price to the customer and see what they want to do, but that's definitely what's going on with the coolant smell that he's smelling. You can see that the belly pan is missing because we do have it removed. Let's check these brakes. Nice and thick. As you can see, it's got brand new struts on the front. Nothing loose there. These are Arnott struts, which is what I would use, a very good brand, very good quality. Brakes are good there. Nothing loose. Check our ride height sensors. Those are good. This one is good as well. As we move on back, here's our catalytic converters and our transmission. This appears to be a ZF transmission. And I'm right. ZF. Getriebe. Nice and dry, nothing leaking there. I could almost be led to believe that this has been replaced with a new filter. Some of these have the filter built into the pan. Those look like new bolts and a new pan. Transmission mount is good right here. Our flex disc. It's got weather cracking on it, but it's not cracked through the rubber. Just the paint coating that was on the rubber has got some cracking, but it's nothing bad. Here's our exhaust. Check our support bearing up there. Everything looks good. Exhaust looks good there. Here's our differential and our flex disc there, and everything looks good. Differential in the back is nice and dry. CV boot is dry. This boot is good as well. There's an air strut, a new R-knot. Our ride height sensor is intact. Check our brakes. Nice and thick. Nothing loose there. And we got this boot is good. That CV boot is good as well. Nice new strut. Ride height sensor is intact. Brakes are nice and thick. Nothing loose there. Here's our dual exhaust coming out the back. Everything's stock on this. I really like that it's stock. All the shields are in place here. Check these tires out real quick. They are Pirelli's P0s, and they're from 2019. It's about halfway through 2019, so they're still good. They're a few years old, but they still got quite a bit of life left in them. Well, let's get this thing on the ground. So this is in really good shape. The park lamp up here obviously is damaged, and the customer's going to take care of that. We did find the coolant leak. We didn't find a whole lot else. The clunking, Magic Mike has actually found it, and we were going to show it here on camera, but it was actually very difficult to show. But it's the sway bar bushings. When you go over undulations or bumps in the road, you can really hear a kind of a low clunk, 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 clunk. It's actually up in the subframe. I thought this is probably not going to be a very quick job, and I did look up the man hours on it. It's right at 4 hours, and the reason is some of the subframe has to come down to get those out. Most stabilizer bar or sway bar bushings are really a quick job, half an hour or an hour at the most. This one is quite intensive. It's not going to be so quick, but we'll get that on the estimate. So that'll solve the clunking. The issues we saw just a minute ago will solve the coolant leak. We saw the pink coolant actually leaking. So back to the headliner. Mrs. Wizard gave you guys a tour of the interior, and you actually saw it drooping. The customer has several ideas in mind. We've actually had Low End Upholstery come and look at it. We're awaiting his estimates. There are 4 options that the customer wants. Number 1 is just the headliner with standard material, the standard stock material. Option number 2 is the headliner and all the pillars with standard stock material. Option number 3 is just the headliner only in an upgraded suede material of a similar color, a same color. And option number 4 is the headliner and all the pillars in the upgraded suede material. Again, we're waiting on Low End Upholstery to get me the prices together, but based on the numbers, the customer will make a selection and we will go with it. I know from experience, headliners, it sounds like a quick job. So, you just take the thing out and you glue it and put some new fabric on. It's tough. There's a lot of things that have to come apart in the interior that you could risk breaking the customer's car if you don't know what you're doing. The pillars have to come off. Sometimes the seats have to come out so you can get room to get the headliner out. And there's lots of plastic, there's airbag connectors, there's all kinds of things you're dealing with that you could damage. I actually had a customer one time wanted a quote to remove a headliner and have it redone, and it was going to be some odd $2,500 because it was a Range Rover. It was going to be very expensive. A lot of stuff had to come out. He said, screw that, that's too high, you're gouging me. I'll do it myself. I got a call in the middle of the next week. The guy was cursing mad. I tried to do this myself. I've broken several things. I damaged the pillar airbag. And then now I have the headliner finally down, and I don't even know how to get it out. I said, "Nuh-uh. You fired me. You said no. You ain't getting my help, bro. If you want me to do it, from start to finish, we'll do it. I'm not going to take over after you done been in there breaking stuff." I said, "Nope, you're on your own. You chose that when you said, I'm too high." I said, "Do you see now why it's so expensive to get the headliners out?" He goes, "Well, yeah, I know that now." I said, then how did you have a ground to stand on to argue with me on the price when you hadn't even done one before? So, headliners can be a big deal. We actually have a Dodge Dually I just purchased not too long ago. It's for hauling equipment for Crazy D. It's a V10 1996 Dodge Ram 3500, and the headliner was drooping. It's not a very pretty truck, but it's a very good running truck. And those are one of the instances where you just scrape the stuff off. We actually took the headliner out and just threw it away. I'm not going to spend $500 on a truck that they're going to get greasy fingerprints all on the headliner anyways. I said pull it out, throw it away, and they're totally fine with that. On an old vehicle, an old truck, you can just scrape it and possibly paint the board and put it back on. But that's not what we're going to do, obviously, with a beautiful Jag like this. This thing is really, really nice. I love these old Jags. So we'll get the estimate to the customer and see what we want to do. Again, it's just based on how much they want to spend, but I'm sure the customer will say, go for it, let's get this thing the next level. It's really worth it. This car is so nice. In a previous video, actually on the Merkur, I guess you guys call it, you found a missing bolt, one that I had missed. I'm glad you guys found it. The inspections we do here on video are not actually what we use to talk with the customer. We don't go through and spend the entire hour checking everything on film. We do have Magic Mike or Danielson check it over with a fine-tooth comb off camera so that we can get an accurate estimate. There's just not enough time on film to go through every little thing all the way down. You guys would get bored, trust me, it's very boring. I watch my mechanics actually check things over with a fine-tooth comb, and there's just a little bit, little step, little bit, little, it's kind of boring. But yes, I did miss that in that inspection. I'm glad you guys found it. That saves us some time. I can say, hey, don't forget that bolt. So I'm glad you guys found that. I appreciate that. If you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use to fix that missing bolt, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. We get a small cut and we really appreciate it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button because there's so many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.